Welcome to Teen Talk, Navigating Teen Challenging Behavior. I am Pei Yi. I'm a parenting and teen challenging behavior specialist at Rainbow Parenting Practice. Over the last 30 years, I've worked with children, teenagers, and then families with various complex needs across different settings. But it is my personal story, being a troubled teenager, that led me to the creation of my innovative parenting method, Thriving Together Parenting Method. It can help you and your team to have a more loving, respect-driven relationship and the happiness and harmony in your family home in 90 days. No matter what challenging behavior it is, how challenging it has been, and for however long your family has been in a difficult place. Many families came to me when they were in crisis or at breaking point. My TTP method is the secret to their transformative family lives. It can be yours too. I am thrilled for you to be here, and that possibly means you are a successful but stressed out parent who is managing a very demanding job but struggling to know what to do and how to help your troubled teen who is stuck in patterns of challenging behavior. You're fed up with trying everything but nothing works. You're looking for solutions yesterday and are determined to do whatever it takes to help your teen and family thrive. At Teen Talk, Navigating Teen Challenging Behavior, I will share all the insights I've learned from working with families and their teenagers over the years. I will not hold back. Let's dive in. Hi, welcome to the show. It's Pei and
Belle.
yeah, Belle. But Belle didn't know I was going to ask her to say Belle, so hence the pause. So 2024, Happy New Year, and I hope everyone who's listening to the show had a great festive period. I had a good one. Belle had a good one. But anywho, shall we get on to our topics for today, Belle?
Yep.
But because this is a new year, so let me refresh everybody's memory, or we might have some new audience listening to us, tune in this year or this episode in this episode. So what Belle and I do, usually we have a set of cards, and everything, the conversation between Belle and myself is unscripted because we draw the cards to decide what we speak about today. And it could be about, it's mainly about teenagers' life, but we try to explore topics from the parent perspective, from a professional perspective, from a teenager perspective, and hopefully to give the audience a big, what's the word I'm looking for? A really good, thorough, comprehensive, perspectives about the topic we talk about. So basically, that's what we do. So, Belle, why don't you, and I will let Belle choose what we speak today. So tell me just when to stop.
Okay.
Okay.
Stop.
Okay. This is quite interesting, actually, because this is very hot. Right?
Oh.
Yeah. It's a bit scary. I don't know if you can see, but I'll just let the audience
read it.
Right. So basically, this is about curse of the body perfect.
What does that mean?
Curse of the body perfect. My read to this is about having a very perfect body image.
Right.
Right. Like you have to be super skinny or be six pack, or you have to be certain weight, the weight, or be a blonde or be a brunette or be, like different type of beauty. Or I think that's how I read this. Curse of the body perfect. Oh, we can take it another way. What are you thinking when you heard curse of the body perfect?
So just similar to you, I guess, just thinking about body image, because if I'm looking at it from a teen talk perspective, that's the most obvious way to go. And for a reason, because it's so prominent.
Yeah.
Teenagers.
So why don't we talk about this then? The perfect body image, and the teenagers are going through thinking they have to have a perfect image.
So I definitely think that every single teenager experiences this nowadays because of social media. Because it just means that even from a young age, I remember teenage boys would compare us and even if we were like 12 years old. And like it's just very prominent. And because everything's sort of measured in looks now a little bit. So yeah, I definitely think it's very.
Isn't it very sad? Like, you know what? The saying is like, don't judge the don't judge the book by its
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Right? But everybody judges everybody by how they look. And like you say,
and you can't really help it subconsciously to a certain extent. Like it is just normal. But yeah, it's definitely got. But it's weird because I don't think anyone I know actually looks at people and judges them based on their body or look. I guess romantically maybe boys or like people can judge each other like that in that sense, but it's such like everyone's in their own heads about it, isn't it? Because it doesn't really matter.
It really is. But if you see, I'm really curious about what does a perfect body mean, and what
exactly.
What does it do?
I guess it means
for the person
a body that matches society's like pitch perfect standard. But then again, like that changes literally all the time, and it's been different all throughout history as well. So it still doesn't matter because
absolutely. And then like in Asia, okay, I have to say in Taiwan, the body perfect image is you have to be skinny. I remember I was called chubby when I was a teenager, but I was only like 58 kilograms, which is not bad. But I don't know how many of that is in pounds, probably 100 10 pounds or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Gosh, I can't say the numbers, as my husband said. Anyway, I wasn't that chubby, but I was always considered to be the chubby one in class, and even in my family as well. But then thinking about, like you say, the history side of things, like in Tang Age, the ancient history, the Chinese ancient history, there's certain dynasty actually like having a bit of a what's the word, curvaceous? Is that the word?
Yeah.
Like having a bit of a weight on you was a beauty.
Yeah, exactly.
It changed.
It's changed so much, and even in like the 1910s 20s, like it was never stick thin, like really, like not there's anything wrong with that either, but it was never like the really slim body type that we see like 90s 2000s and stuff. Like even then, like people with more curves and stuff were a lot more like, it wasn't as deep. And also yeah, exactly, like in Victorian times and stuff, it's changed all throughout history. Like it really does not, it's made up.
And it changed through cultures, like every
exactly.
Sometimes, and then like Western culture like people to be tanned, and they're considered as beauty. But in Asia, you want to be pale, and if you're tanned, you're like, it's like, oh, I don't think you should be so tanned. So it really is different. And then I keep hearing you saying, "Well, it doesn't matter," but somehow it matters.
No, of course.
To the teenagers' world.
Yeah, I mean, it's mattered to me. Like it's mattered to everyone. Like you can't, even if you know it doesn't, like sometimes you just can't help it. Like sometimes you just have bad days and you will feel insecure. That's just how it is. So yeah.
So what are the teenagers really thinking about when they're thinking about their body image these days?
I don't want to go down the route of saying like, because I hear a lot of adults talk about it, and they talk about like, I don't know, like Kim Kardashian and all that, and Instagram and stuff. But like, I don't even think it is that. I mean, it is that. Like, it's all about trends. And I think trends nowadays aren't just from certain people. Like in the 1920s and stuff, like people would base body image off of like Marilyn Monroe, like certain like really famous people. But now, because there's so many famous people and there's so many trends and there's so many different things we're seeing all the time, it's all about like where you are, what sort of like fashion or scene you're into, and like a body type does quite often come with that. But I've heard a lot actually on social media recently, a lot of people talking about how 90s heroin chic is coming back, which is the word for super skinny, almost like sick looking, like heroin chic. Because obviously trends resurface. So it's weird. I don't know. I think I think teenagers are in quite a confused state about this right now, because there's also so much like self-love and like healthy food and diet culture, as well as unhealthy food and diet culture, and like lots of gym stuff, and like there's just so much being thrown at us. Like I really don't know. I think it all depends on someone's confidence. But yeah, I don't think, I think it's virtually impossible for a teenager to be completely uninsecure about their body in this day and age. Like I know like my friends who fit the exact societal whatever body standard, and they're still insecure about things because of all of that. So yeah, I think it's just like at a very peak time right now, being insecure.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't remember any of this when I was a teenager. It was just easy. Only people
Yeah,
around you were talking about
yeah,
body image. But I
yeah.
think you hit the nails in the head, the head and the nail
Mm-hmm.
in the head. I
Mm-hmm.
always, oh gosh, I have a tendency to swap words. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
is the teenagers are going through a very confusing stage and age of their
Yeah.
life, and they're trying to
Mm-hmm.
find out who they are, what kind of people they want to be, what kind of fashion they like, music they
Mm-hmm.
like, what kind of friends they want to be with. So, and it's really, they're really easily influenced, by the social media or by their friends. You could be wearing, if you are the most influential person in your group, the friendship group, and if you start to wear flary jeans, very soon the whole group will be wearing flary jeans,
Yeah.
because you want to belong, as we spoke about in the past, and you want to fit in to that group. However, at the same time, it is really quite sad to hear, the social media has such an influence on young people these days. And it's like, how do that I have to look like? And
Yeah.
oh, I mean, I've worked with young people because they see the social media. I mean, there are many reasons that will contributing to a young person developing eating disorder, but we're not
Yeah.
going to that
Yeah.
in detail. However, I have worked with the teenagers who, watch shows and follow those super skinny models,
Mm-hmm.
and then just feel like I have to be like that, and then combined with their life circumstances, their self-esteem, and then it can all contributing to young persons start
Mm-hmm.
limiting, what they're eating, what they're drinking, how much do they eat, hide food, or throw food away. Not hide food, throw food away, or
Mm-hmm.
hide food in the sense that I hide it, I don't want to eat it, and I'll throw it
Mm-hmm.
away. So it is quite sad really to think about this. And like you say, it's like even with the most confident young person, teenagers in a social environment, is or that with the powerful of the social media, it's really hard to stay in your core and think, what, this is me, this is my style,
Yeah,
that's who
it's
I am.
so hard. And
Mm.
I think when we get older, like it's possible, but I genuinely think because of where we've grown up, like there's so many positives to social media. Like I don't think social media is awful, but just one of the facts, like the fact of it is every single day we subconsciously compare ourselves to people, whether it's like about physically or like their lifestyles or like what they're doing or like their humor, or just all these different things. Like it's literally, yeah, I don't. Everyone, like I would consider myself a very confident person, but
Mm-hmm.
even on bad days, like I do feel insecure and like compare myself to people. And I've heard celebrities talk about it who are desired by everyone, like people who hold the beauty standard, who create the beauty standard, talk about how they get insecure. Like it's just so common all the time. And I also think, that card, how it was saying, you were saying it's almost the price of being
Mm-hmm.
the beauty standard. Like all those celebrities who not control it, but like who people set as the beauty standard, probably that would almost make them more conscious about themselves and their body type, and resulting in them being insecure. So
Absolutely. And
yeah.
I think it's not just a teenager thing, it's across
No,
ages
definitely.
thing, but I just feel for the
Mm-hmm.
teenagers, they have to go through this stage of thinking about their body and then being
Yeah.
influenced about their body. And then speaking from my own experience, like I said earlier on, I was always the chubbiest in the class,
Mm-hmm.
or And do you know what? I was actually a tomboy when I was in secondary school. I had such a short haircut. I was talking, walking, dressing like a boy, right? So then there was actually a lot of criticism of that, and saying like, oh, why did you dress like that? You're a girl. And then why did you have such a short haircut? But the most thing that really affects me for a very long time is when people talk about my weight. It's like, you're too fat. I was like, how am I fat? And it took me so long and then also my cultural influence as well. You need to be skinny, you need to be skinny. It took me so long, so many, many years to actually accept my weight. And I'm a grown-up woman. To be able to go, actually, I'm happy with my body portion. I can't be any skinnier because it just won't look good because my bone density, my bone structure and everything. But there was a period of time where just like, let me lose weight, let me get to this weight. Then I will be, so confident about myself. I will feel great when whatever clothes I was in. I would just walk like a queen on the street. But that was really, really damaging. Like my self-esteem was poor. Because what I was when I was like all these years were criticized throughout my secondary years, teenage years. And it really took me a long time to build my self-confidence and knowing like, actually, I'm good. I like the way I look. I like the fact I have my bone structure is big. I like the fact my legs are masculine. Whereas in the past, I was like, oh, why can't I have skinny legs like that? Or why can't I have bigger eyes like some other women or some of the teenage girls? So it really matters about the people around us, how they support teenagers through this journey, and when they come to have self-doubt about the way they look, how are you as a parent can foster a healthy image for your teenager, while being understanding, of course.
I genuinely don't know the answer to that. Like,
it's okay, we don't have to have answers.
No, it is. It's something to think about, isn't it? But like, from your experience, like that's such a big thing. I think is the process of unlearning the insecurity, because like even if you come out of that or come out of being really insecure, like even if you think you're fine, you are confident, like it takes so long to unlearn, doesn't it? And it takes so long to unlearn comparing yourself, or like thinking that if you looked a certain way you'd feel better, even though they have no real correlation apart from like the fact that society will view you differently. But
absolutely. And if you think about teenagers, they haven't really known about the world that much, because before you're teenagers, your majority of your life is with families. You go on family activities, you're being with your siblings, be with your parents, be with your parents' friends, and neighbors and cousins and all these things. But when you're teenagers, you step into the real world, right? But your skill set, your knowledge are not as a mature adult. So it's really easy to be impact on, whatever people say or the peers say, the social media say. It's really easily can just swing you to that way, that way or that way. And you're thinking, who am I? And why am I constantly feeling bad about myself? Because the whole world is telling you you're not skinny enough. You don't have six-pack. Your hair is too stupid, or your nails need to be certain ways. So it really is really hard. So what can teenagers do? What can adults around teenagers do? What can the social media do? What can all these celebrities do? And then, do you know what just came to my mind? Belle, these beauty pageant thing. Oh, right. I'm probably going to get attacked for that. So this is a popular opinion. This beauty pageant thing, like, I really don't understand the rationale for it. And that might be my ignorance about the beauty pageant. But I'm like, why do you have to be so skinny and then dress like that, and then I don't. Do you?
Yeah, I don't really understand it. I don't know much about like older beauty pageants, but I've seen a lot of reality shows of like young ones and like of like kids, and like it, like when you actually think about it, it's so like, imagine being 6 and being measured by your appearance at that age. And like we were just talking about how long it takes to unlearn things, and like imagine growing up and constantly measuring like your worth by that, and then being older, and like it would be so hard to unlearn. So yeah, it's weird.
I know. So it's like everybody around you plays a part as to how you learn to self-love, learn how to accept who you are and the way you look. And of course, we're not talking about like, like obesity or whatever that, then it's a different thing because you need to look after your health. But it's about the standard of the society, what beauty and perfect body should be looking like. And if you go online, Belle, these days is how you lose weight. And I'm sure all the teenagers are probably looking at this as well, like how you lose weight, what sort of exercise you can do to have six pack, or all these things. So how do you survive and have with that self-love? And feel secure about the body you have. What things have you talk about sometimes you have bad days, right? And then you just compare yourself with others. So what strategy did you use when you have those days? Because you know who you are.
So well, when I have those days, I try and just like remember that like whatever perception of myself that's bringing me down that day isn't what other people see, and it's only something I notice. And I don't know, I'll do something to put my mind off it and just distract myself, because I now I mean, when I was younger, those thoughts or those days or those insecurities used to control me completely, and like I like couldn't let go of them. That they'd be with me every single day. But now like I recognize them as just passive thoughts, and that everyone has them, and they're not like, not giving them control or anything.
What's the worst? So go on, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's basically.
So what's the worst thought you have had about your own body image?
Well, probably what a lot of young girls have is like maybe trying to not eat, or skipping meals, or for periods of time, or like even just feeling good if you accidentally skip a meal, like even stuff like that where you're not consciously doing it, like things like that. And also just like what you were saying earlier, like I used to think, oh, if I lose this amount of weight, I'll feel so much better, and like I'll finally be done with this insecurity and everything will be fine. And then I realized that when you do lose that weight, the insecurity doesn't go away, and you have a different insecurity, and it's just like a never-ending loop. And that took me years to unlearn as well. I think it was definitely like at its peak when I was like 13, 14, early 15, I would say. And I know that a lot of my friends were in the exact same position.
So what did you do with these things? What did you do, and what do you do with these things? Because you will be hearing people talk about, and we spoke about this in length, right? About how if you feel depressed, who you can go to. If you have certain feelings, what do you do? All these things. But do teenagers these days? I'm asking you as a teenager, do they go to their guidance teacher, or do they go to somebody to talk about the body image challenges?
I don't know. I think with body image, it's one of those things where it's something you want to keep secret, or you don't want to share with other people, because you don't want someone to be able to tell you, because they're just going to say it's not true, whatever. But when you're in that headspace, it's all that's in your mind all day, and you don't want to tell someone because you don't want them to stop you. And you don't And also with all this like self-love and everything, like you're meant to just feel good about yourself, and if you don't feel good about yourself, then like I don't know.
But where did this come from? You thinking you're supposed to feel good about yourself all the time?
Well, I've when I from my experience, I've never thought I'm supposed to feel good about myself. In fact, I actually thought the opposite, because social media again,
Mm.
for especially 2020 and early 2021, there was a big like amount of people oversharing, or talking about mental health really
Mm-mm.
heavily
Mm-mm.
and unmonitored on the internet, which meant that if you were having these thoughts, or if you were in a unstable situation, then you could just latch on to that and you'd feel validated from it, and you just go into it even more.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, as the years went on, if I was feeling insecure about myself, I would never tell anyone about it, because
Mm-mm.
it almost made me feel not weak, but like made me feel, I don't know, it was just felt embarrassing. So I just
Mm-mm.
didn't. I don't know why I didn't, but I just didn't.
Mm-mm. I suppose it's understandable from a teenager's perspective because it takes a lot of courage to come and speak to someone about your vulnerability or
Yeah,
what worries you. And to
yeah,
begin with, you don't really you get confused about what is really worrying you. And there's so many things that is worrying.
yeah.
It's really difficult to articulate and recognize. And I suppose from just my experience with teenagers, it's hard for them to come forward to speak to someone. It needs to be someone they trust because they're worried if I say this, I'm going to get judged. Or like
Mhm,
you say, they're just going to tell me it's all in my head,
mhm,
which is very dismissive in many different ways. Because while they are trying to encourage and, the positive mindset, but it's disregarding, refuting someone's experience and feelings in some way.
mhm.
So that's from a teenager's perspective. However, on the other side, I'm curious, how much do professionals like teachers or not necessarily teachers, just professionals and people, adults working with teenagers, think about body image side of things, or pay attention to this area of challenge that
Yeah.
teenagers may be facing, in these days where social media is so out there and so easy accessible,
Mhm.
and if this is something that they pay additional attention to, I don't know.
Yeah, but even then, like, how would they pay attention to it? What would you say would be them paying attention to it?
I suppose it will be like any teenagers when you work with any teenagers, when something is bothering these teenagers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if I spoke about this before. The behavior is a symptom, it's not the cause. If
Yeah.
I have a really bad day at work, I might come home very grumpy. That's my
Mm-hmm.
behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But that is only a symptom. But the cause is something happened at work, something didn't get done, or somebody was rude, and it was, all these things. So similarly, when a professional, why do I keep saying teacher? It doesn't necessarily have to be teachers. When a professional work with a young person, or when parents know about the young people, the changes in their behavior, and
Mm-hmm.
that could be something acute us to having a conversation about what is happening. But at the same time, I think there's also need psychoeducation to the young person, and it doesn't necessarily have to like a big topic or something. I wonder if the parents talk about body image these days with their teenagers,
Yeah.
before they enter teenagehood. Do you know these days, when you become a teenager, you're probably going to face quite a lot of challenges because people will be thinking about, you should look like this, you should look like this, or you want,
Yeah.
or you might be influenced by your peers, how you should look, and I wonder if that part of education has been thought about with the teenagers themselves.
Yeah. I mean, we have PSE lessons where
Mm,
they'd talk about how when you get older you can feel insecure, but
mm,
I don't know. I think it's just so different to what the older generations have had. Like, forever teenagers have been insecure. Like, that's just a fact. Like, they always have, especially in the last, like, 40 years. But within the last, like, 5 to 10 years, well, maybe probably like 5 to 7 or whatever, like, it's just, everything's just changed, and it wasn't monitored for so long because it was so new and we didn't know how impactful it was going to be. And from growing up in the peak of that, like, I know I keep coming back to social media, but like, I genuinely think it's just changed it, because it is such a different type of insecurity, because it's not just a security based on comparing yourself to people you see around you. It's not based on you know, it can be based on things that would have never existed before to compare yourself to. So, you know, we're like, I always see people say we're never meant to see this many like beautiful people like date every single day of our lives, like every single hour. Like, you're meant to see like a few if you're walking about or whatever. Like, you know, it was more like a rare thing, and everyone was appreciated for their own personal features more. But I see even now, like, lots of people can end up looking the same because everyone's trying to reach that goal of looking perfect, and I don't know.
Yeah, like Botox.
Yeah, so
like big lips.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, which is also people's personal choice as well. Like, but it's just so confusing. But yeah, like, going back to how teachers or parents would talk to us about it, I don't even know, because it's such a big like mess of things. I don't know. Like, yeah, I guess the best thing would be just to like not talk about body image, not mention it, and try and just find a way to get people to appreciate themselves for themselves. But I don't know, like, how you would do
But
it.
I suppose this is something need to be thought about, you know, and I know it is really big, and probably in the past, like you say, we don't think about talk about these things. But it's like evolution. Things changes, things evolve, and we are educating the teenagers about hormones, about the changes, about sex education, about mental health.
Yeah.
So why not body image? Because we know body image can affect someone's mental health if you're constantly in the mindset, you know, of I have to be certain look, you know.
But I also think talking about body image is so hard to navigate in itself, because I know from being in that position, and I know it's such a common thing, that when you are so deeply insecure, something that can be being used as an example for someone who's insecure, or guidance, or someone who's struggling with an eating disorder, can set you off. It can trigger you so easily, because you can compare yourself to that, and you can think, oh, well, maybe I'm just not doing it well enough, or I don't know, like with eating, like maybe someone else is making more effort than me to be skinnier, and like that would make you, I don't know, like, it's just such a sensitive topic.
It really is, but at the same time, I'm hearing from what you're saying, Bill, from what I'm gathering from you saying, I think there needs to be a different layer of conversation. And if someone struggling with eating disorder, talking about eating or body image could be challenging. Yeah, and that requires specialist support.
It really does. Yeah.
My thought is around the baseline thinking. You know, your parents can easily talk to their teenagers about peer relation, friendship, or romantic relationship, because you need to talk about these things. So then it is about the basic conversation about body image. You know, your body is changing. That's without a doubt. Your body will change. You're gonna, you know, grow things, you know, that you never thought the hair would grow. So these things are real, and that could come across a shock for teenagers, you know. And I remember when I first like found hair in the places I didn't think it would grow, I was terrified because it was never taught. Like, you're gonna grow hair. Right? I'm talking about these basic level conversations and the possible challenges the teenager might face. Because, and again, I said again of this, is teenagers need to support, guidance, and education, and build skills to navigate the challenges they are facing. Because you wouldn't know when if this hit you, you wouldn't know how to navigate that. But
Mm.
having that basic conversation, whether it's from a trusting adults, from from professionals, or from your parents, or your close relatives,
Yeah, and I think
really
just
helpful.
even just being honest about your insecurities and like accepting
Yeah.
your insecurities is probably like such a good step, because like I think it's stupid to say like don't be insecure, because like everyone's insecure, whether it's about your looks, personality. Everyone has a one singular insecurity, like whatever, if it's small or big. So even just like being honest that you have insecurities and saying, okay, well, it's fine that I'm insecure about that. It doesn't really, it's not a big deal. Like, it's okay. And like, if people were maybe more honest about the fact that we have insecurities and, you know, what they are, then maybe we'd all wouldn't think of our insecurities as such a big deal, and we would just like think of them more passively and accept them more. So maybe if I was a parent or a teacher, maybe not teacher, but if I was a parent, I would, you know, be honest, but not honest in the way where I would feed them in or anything, but like when the conversation is there, just be honest that everyone has them.
Absolutely. And you know what, Bear? I just came to me. I know why I keep saying teachers. Because a teenager spends so much time in school. And you can really build good relationship with teachers.
Yeah.
You know, and they can be such an influential people in the teenager's life. I think that's why I keep saying teachers, but I mean in like professional parents. I just need to clarify that. You know, but at the same time, I think you sum today's discussion really well. Is it's really that security, isn't it? About yourself, the self-love, you know, and accepting who you are and how you were made wonderfully by
and
your
it's such a
parents.
personal thing, and it's such a personal thing to navigate. Like I don't think one person's experience of body image would be the same as another's. Like it's so like you have to find that with yourself, and that's why I was saying like I don't know how a parent or teacher would go about that, because it is so personal. But you now I've thought about it, yeah, just being honest that everyone is having the same experience.
Yeah, and just like what you said, everyone's having different experience, and that experience should be validated. And
Yeah.
it's okay. You feel this way. It's okay. You know, your body looks like this. And I think that's really important for the teenagers to hear, rather than thinking, I'm a bit chubby. I shouldn't look like this.
Yeah.
You know, and that is really unhealthy. And teenagers are already going through a lot. Why have another challenge like this? But like you said, this is a really big thing to talk about. But I think, like I say, you sum it really, really well, is that self-love, having that security, accept who you are and how you're made as you are. But however, we know it's not that easy, because the world, there's so many voices around you, and the social media and the culture side of all these things have an impact on how we see ourselves and this body image. So to sum today's up, we're gonna end it as usual. Is the curiosity. What will we like the parents or the professionals or the teenagers to be more curious about them?
I would encourage teenagers to be curious about what their insecurities are actually coming from, and why they feel the need to bring themselves down based on anything physical. And I would just encourage them to maybe talk with their parents or talk with their friends about these insecurities, and not in a self-depreciating or comparing way, in a just talking about them surface level, and the fact that everyone has them, and sharing that with other people would probably reinforce that, you know, would help you not make such a big deal out of them.
Yeah, okay. That's a really good curiosity. I'm gonna talk about the same curiosity, but for teenagers, because I think I've said enough about my thoughts around how parents and professionals can support the teenagers. But I really want to encourage the teenagers to be curious about not just about the body image and not just about the security, but be curious about why I am thinking this should be this way. Or why am I influenced by this particular person or that particular trend, right? Because that helps you to look deeper inside as to why I like Katy Perry so much and the way she dresses and the way and I have to follow that path. You know, so I really want to encourage the teenagers to be curious about their thoughts and their decisions on their body image, because that says something and says a lot. And that might help, you know, the teenagers, to be able to think about their own securities, like you talk about, to think about the self-love. Why do I need to be like that person? You know, what is it saying to me? And then go and speak to the parents and or friends and, you know, professionals about it, which I think would help.
Yeah. But it's hard to do.
It is really hard to do. You know, I've been there. I was never able to say, like,
No.
stop telling me I'm fat.
Yeah.
As a teenager, the voices, the external forces were too strong.
Yeah.
You know, and then like you say, you're just worried about they're gonna go, and
yeah.
You know? So, but I think the society is changing. There's quite a lot of resources and tools out there for parents and professionals, and
and there's a lot of room for this to be talked about nowadays. I think. And we could be using that.
Absolutely, and it's really just drawing attention to this area, like you know, probably people stop talking about. You know, there may be a time, like you say, a trend does come back, and maybe there was a time people talk about, you know, social media, the media, the body image more than ever, and then it stopped. You know, it's back because it's a serious thing and it's a serious matter we need to think about. So, thank you, Bill. It's been a really good chat, and I hope it's been really helpful for our audience. But as usual, if the audience would like more resources, go to my website. And as usual, I keep forgetting saying about this, right? We do have an email box. I think it's Teen Talk Pot. Anyway, I think I'll have to put in the link. I forgot. I forgot what the email address is. You can write to us and let us know if there is a particular topic and subject you want me and Belle to speak about. We'll be happy to do that. Yeah. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you to everyone at home or on the go for listening. If you find this show helpful, please hit that follow or subscribe button. It does wonders for the show, so more people can find Teen Talk Navigating Teen Challenging Behavior organically. If you have any questions about anything we've talked about, please drop me a line at pei@teentalkpot.com. That is PEI-I@teentalkpot.com. I read every email I get. Whether that's an episode idea, a guest recommendation, or just a simple note about how the show has impacted you. I'd love to hear from you. I am Pei, and I'll see you on the next episode.